Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you.
The life you find is something understood.
A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means.
Time is keenly found. We are not alone. Water over stone, even if you're by yourself. Even if you're by yourself.
And today's music is going to be called Etherealizer, created by Rick Cleffel again this morning. Thank you, Rick. Dream deeper to sleep better. Holistic sleep transformation expert Leah Ann Bolen will talk about how dreams show us our true desires. Also, visitation dreams, recurring themes, and dreams during times of transition or burnout. We got lots to talk today with Leah. I am your host, Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. I'm excited to say that Festival of Dreams tickets are now on sale at festivalofdreams.net. Click the Get Tickets link to go to Eventbrite, where you will find more details about this IASD regional conference. Our keynote is Dr. Apila Colorado of the Worldwide Indigenous Science Network, and the festival features workshops and talks, plus a pop-up art show, a Friday evening reception, and a Saturday evening dream ball, October 10th through 12th, right here at the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History. Early bird discounts are available through September 10th. All right, I want to just share a dream that I have been, it's kind of been exploding my mind over the last couple of weeks since I had it. And I haven't had another dream. That's not true, actually. I had one more this morning, but it's been 2 weeks and I have been just mulling this one dream. Sometimes it's the one dream to work with that. And it's been, so let me just say the dream. So I am standing at a counter. I'm getting ready to mail something to a friend, and there's a line forming behind me. But I still want help from the guy at the counter. I want one thing, I want something else. And the guy looks at me and he says, "You're just so bad that you should kill yourself." And I'm like, whoa. Like, I think that he thinks I'm holding up the line, which I guess I am, but I'm like hurt and shocked. But then I realize, I don't know, I just make this shift. And with this slight effort, I just kind of shift from being this hurt shock mode. And I find myself saying, "I love you too, thanks for helping." And the guy, tries to be stern, but then he cracks a smile. And suddenly, like, it's a helping, I'm being helped. And I hear in the moment, and I, like, the shock and the hurt is gone. And I've just, like, been really stewing in this dream, really, really basking in it. And, you know, recognizing that what I always say to people, that means that this is something that's already happening in my waking life. I'm already learning to transform those difficult feelings to feelings of love and connection. And wow, that's pretty intense, because I don't always feel like that. I tell you, I get hurt and shocked in waking life. But maybe there's something changing in me to allow myself to start to change that, let go of that, and move back into love and connection. So I'm just marveling over this dream. Thanks for the chance to share the stream on the show. Okay, so I want to welcome our guest, Leah Ann Bolen. So glad to have you on the show.
I'm so glad to be here, Catherine. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes, you sound great, coming in loud and clear. So Leah Ann Bolen is a certified Dreamwork practitioner and integrative adult sleep coach. At Miraval Resort and Spa in Arizona, she serves as the resident sleep and dream specialist, guiding guests through transformative rest and dream experiences. Leah's approach is to blend ancient dream traditions with practical tools for modern life. You can find her at leahannbolen.com. And she has a podcast at dreaminterpretationstation.com. Well, you know, we like to talk about sleep too. This is something that's really important to so many people. Well, all of us need better sleep. We can all use better sleep. And so this is something maybe we could tap into a little bit today as well. The sleep specialist, an adult sleep coach. Maybe Leah, want to tell us a little bit about that? Let's just start with that. I think that's something everybody can relate to.
Yeah, you know, I noticed for me, I love the topics of the night, sleep and dreams, and so often they're separated. So you either find people who are very focused on sleep wellness, and they bring up dreams in the stance of REM sleep, and yes, there's a lot of things happening in the brain, but they really dismiss the subjective experience of the dream. Mm-hmm. And then you have a lot of people who are more focused on the dream work, and they really don't dive into a lot about sleep. And yet, really, the number one thing we have to do for a wonderful dream life is have healthy sleep.
True.
And for me personally, I started getting into both topics early in my corporate life. I was in advertising and marketing for many years. And early on in my driving myself up the corporate ladder, I started to struggle a lot with the night. I had horrible bouts of insomnia, and I was having a lot of very negative, I would have called them nightmare dreams. Mm-hmm. And so this whole thing of the night started to feel so difficult and torturous and frustrating. And I found myself really diving into both ends of that equation and seeing how they're so interconnected. And those of us who are struggling with sleep, who are sleep deprived, mostly we're dream deprived, because dreams do tend to backload more into the second half of a night of sleep. And a lot of people who struggle with sleep are missing those last most dreamy hours.
Mm-hmm. True.
I also learned, for me, it was when I started to work with my dreams, I started to embrace the night better, because for me, a lot of my sleep struggles were the worries, fears, doubts going on in my life, coming up in the night, keeping me derailing from getting back in if I had an awakening. And as I started to find how my dreams were my best self-help in life, I started to really trust in the night and actually enjoy the handoff to the night, knowing I'm going to have maybe a solution in the morning, or I'm going to be so much better by not holding on to this worry and handing it off to the night.
Mm-hmm. I love that. They're kind of intertwined, and that's the sleep and the dreams. But there takes a certain amount of trust there, because sometimes when I'm lying awake trying to go to sleep, my mind is just spinning, and I can say, I can trust my dream world, and yet my mind doesn't always shut off when I want it to. You know?
Yeah, amazing how we humans tend to think so much.
Right.
And, you know, the first half of the night for many people is so much easier, because we do have a homeostatic sleep drive that all day long. The longer we've been awake, the more we're eventually going to have to fall asleep. And so for many of us, that initiating the first part of sleep seems easier, because we have sleep drive bouncing us in, even if there were still a lot of things unresolved in our mind. Mm-hmm. But when we wake in the night, for many of us, it becomes so much more difficult, because sleep drive's gone. Mm-hmm. And now we've got this mind getting active again with all the things that haven't maybe resolved or had time to have our mind really focus on, and we're captive on the pillow to this mind. You know, for me, Miraval, where I do so much of my work, was a godsend for me in many ways, because it was during my early adult years when I was still very struggling with so much of my own mind derailing me in the night, that I discovered Miraval, which so much of their focus is mindfulness practices. I learned for the first time about the idea of mindfulness meditation. Something I knew I didn't know how to do was shut off this mind. And it really prompted me to start to learn a practice of meditating. You know, people who meditate tend to sleep better, and people who struggle with sleep often don't really like meditating. It kind of goes hand in hand. And I learned I don't know how to do this very well, but I started the practice of it. And as I learned meditation, the willingness to sit and just focus on maybe my breath, and if a thought came, that's fine, I'm going to release it and come back to the breath. Every time I did that, I realized that in and of itself was success, because I was learning I'm not my thoughts. I'm an awareness that rests behind all this thinking I do. And at any time with some intentionality, we always have the ability to decide, am I going to follow that thought, or am I going to let that thought go? And that's a practice that takes time to learn. At first, I hated meditating. It felt torturous. I now love my meditation practice.
Wow. Okay. This is interesting, because I have an ongoing theme of having a hard time with meditation, hating meditation, but I'm starting to do little short meditations. And interesting to hear about that connection between meditation and sleep. Well, that gives me even more motivation to stay with the meditation practice and really just see what comes from it.
Yeah, I think we put a lot of expectation on what it is. I'm supposed to be in some sort of bliss state, or I'm not supposed to be thinking. And the truth is, we're going to have thoughts, and that's not a problem with meditating. The whole practice is, oh, I just recognized I went off on this tangent. I'm going to release that thought and come back to my breath, and just call that success. Every time I did that, I had a moment of success redirecting my own focus and energy to my focal point, whether for me it was always like the breath coming in and out of my nose. In sleep wellness, I'm teaching a lot of mindfulness types of practices, and we're always starting small, because I know firsthand how difficult it can feel to embrace these practices that don't feel natural for some reason, because we're so active in our minds.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk now about dreams in particular, like how dreams reflect our inner shifts. Because you say that part of the practice of going to sleep is to trust that the dreams are helping us to tune into the trust in the system. And part of what dreams do is they, I think they help us shift, and as well as informing us about shifts. But most of the dreams we ever have, we don't remember, and so there must be something that they're doing, whether we pay attention or not. So.
Absolutely. I so often am asked about, why don't I remember my dreams? Or people will say I don't dream, and the truth is, they likely are dreaming. They're just not remembering them. And the National Sleep Foundation estimates on a full night of sleep, we're having somewhere between 4 to 6 dreams on average. And we're forgetting 95 to 99% of them.
Right.
So in reality, it is an unconscious process, and certainly okay if we're not doing something consciously with our dreams. If it were required, I consciously do something with every dream, well, I'd have a natural honed-in recall for all my dreams. I'd also probably have a rational mind that understands the dream language better by nature. Instead, this is another way we're processing, we're digesting, we're experiencing, and we just wake up a little better. There have been studies by Harvard that have shown, just learning a new task, especially if it's complex and it makes me really have to try to figure things out, I'm still trying to learn it. If I get some REM sleep, I magically am going to come back better. They show on average 6 times better at a task just for having had REM sleep, not analyzing the dreams, just having dreamed. And PNAS has done studies on creativity scoring, where people have amazing lifts in their ability to do these creativity testing. After getting their REM sleep, they come back, they're 40% better on average. So there is a natural progression of our learning, of our figuring things out that happens beneath the surface of our conscious awareness. And yes, it is a big leap of faith to know I don't have to hold on to this problem. And yet we will be better in the morning for letting go and doing that handoff.
Right.
Now, I've come to see we can totally turbocharge the natural work of our dreams. We can enhance our dream recall. We can bring consciousness into that equation, because for many of us, as hard as the dreams may be working to help us move forward, thought patterns, belief patterns, the paradigms we're stuck in can be very rigid and strong.
Yep.
And we just keep falling back into the same pattern.
Right. So bringing that conscious attention to this subconscious process, I love the word, they're saying turbocharge. We can turbocharge that evolution that the dreams are reflecting and enhancing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I always say I love self-help reading. Of all the genres I'm a self-help reader, and I have never read better self-help than my own dream journal. It is like rich with here's what we are working on now.
Right, exactly. It's always right on the nose, even though I might have a big story about what's going on in my life. And that there's value to the conscious perspective, but the subconscious perspective is often right on the nose.
Yeah,
Like,
and
whoa.
Catherine, I have to say that dream that's been in your mind, you've been pondering,
Yeah.
such a gorgeous example of something that so often I've learned in my own dream life, and it was a really important lesson early on for me, was how a shift in my own action or reaction has such an amazing co-creative effect on a situation. And sometimes all we have is how am I going to act or react? And
Absolutely.
one element of that dream I love is that you see firsthand how I'm going to act in this other, like maybe what doesn't feel like the natural way, but that creates such an amazing next reaction from the dream back to you.
Yeah, it just creates this total connection when I was feeling hurt and turned away, and somehow that changing my perspective. I was listening to something about the Stoics recently, and they say that the only thing you can change ever really is your own judgment, like not even your own thoughts, but maybe your judgments. And then you can work from the flow of what's naturally arising. But the judgments, including and maybe even especially self-judgments,
Yes.
we have some control over. We can change. We can evolve.
Yeah. I went through a period where I was doing a lot of lucid dream immersion, and I found myself, of all the lessons I took from that, was seeing just how co-creative the dream environment is, and always what I do next has a reaction within the dream for what happens next. And it was such a great lesson for lucid living. Like, always we're running up against stories where we're feeling like we're being maybe disrespected or not treated right, or this isn't what I want to happen. And we fight against in a way that only perpetuates a negative energy. And at any point, if I shift my own perspective, my reaction, how I bring myself, well, the waking story shifts too. It's a little less immediate sometimes as the dream, but it's a wonderful learning ground for, how I bring myself always has an impact on what happens next. Right.
Well, talk about recurring themes. Like there's definitely, I have a recurring theme of being annoying to people and holding people up, or maybe I'm running late, or, these themes are really powerful in dreams, and, talk about storylines. And like, how do you recommend that we look at these like recurring things that come up over and over again? Do you have any suggestions of how to work with these patterns?
Yeah, I mean, when they've looked at recurring themes, again, coming back to like maybe the Sleep Foundation, it seems to be about 2/3 of people at any given time are having some sort of recurring pattern showing up in the dreams they remember. And I personally have come to see, now there are times when someone may be going through trauma and we're moving into more of a PTSD trauma type of dream environment. And we may, in those cases, have the dream experience not quite operating in the way we would ideally want it, where some more support might be needed for dream work. I'm someone who's trained in cognitive behavioral therapy for nightmares, and there are times where the dreams are getting stuck, let's say. But generally speaking, when I see themes showing up in a dream, a recurring pattern of any type, it's often a reflection of a pattern in waking realm. And that pattern, if we want the dream to not keep showing up, most people who have a recurring dream coming around, it doesn't tend to be the I'm flying up above the clouds, happy, blissful, and free.
True. I wish.
It's more of a, I would like to not have this dream. If you are having the recurring, I'm flying up above the clouds, happy, blissful, free dream, yay.
Yay.
You know, pay attention. What are you doing before those dreams show up? Because your spirit seems to be really soaring in this moment. And what are you doing that's helping to put you in that place? We want to learn from good dreams as well. And all dreams are good in the sense that they're doing good work. We might not enjoy the process. Patterns showing up in our dreams are often, I have found, working with my own and others' dreams, reflecting a pattern of thought, of belief, of situation that we continue to have in our current experience. And if we can find that pattern in our waking life, how it reflects within the dream, the best way we can start to resolve the need for the dream is to do something to affect the waking pattern. Because we really seem to have dreams as we need them. And when we don't need that dream anymore, we don't have that one anymore. Most of us have some sort of recurring theme we might have had as a younger person, as a child, and that one doesn't show up anymore because, well, I don't need that one anymore.
I figured that one out.
Yeah, so taking action, even if it's small action, is always a wonderful way to start to let the dreams help me. I always say, I'm going to help you help me, dreams.
So what do you suggest for in terms of this dream-inspired action? Like what kind of action would you recommend? Do you have an example maybe from your own life or something else?
Yeah. Well, for me, I would say action can be as little as an affirmation. So really, where is the dreamer? And oftentimes we will see how action we're taking is showing up in a dream. You know, an interesting recurring theme or pattern that was recently shared with me, and I think it's a beautiful example of how as we start to do the inner work, we may even see the dream still showing up, but in new ways, which is a wonderful sign. But there was a young woman who was having these recurring dreams of an ex-boyfriend, and it was very bothersome to her. She referred to it as nightmarish because she just wanted this presence out of her dream life. And in the dreams, she would always be in the midst of a situation where this ex-boyfriend was not giving her the love or attention she wants, or he was going to leave and she was begging him, please don't leave. And this reflected something that actually was true about that original relationship she'd had. It was as really her first relationship, her first serious relationship. And he was very dismissive of her and didn't really return affection and always made her feel like, oh, please don't leave me kind of thing. She was younger than him. And it just was that dynamic. And it was repeating itself in the dreams, which was confusing to her because she thought she was over him. She was in a new relationship with a wonderful husband. As we started to really reflect in the dreams, I mean, she could see how the dreams were absolutely forcing her to re-feel into what that felt like, to be so desperate for attention or love or please don't leave me, and to be left. And she shared that she was really confused that he keeps showing up because she'd been doing a lot of inner work. But I asked her to really reflect on the more recent versions of the dream because she was just lumping them all together. And we often do that. We're like, oh, I keep having dreams about this. And I will try to get a dreamer to zero in on the most recent version because every individual version may show an evolution or something new. And so rather than lump dreams into one, you know, oh, I keep having this dream, well, what was the most recent? And for her, I asked her to really think about what is most recently happening in the dreams. And she said, well, the one she had just had, he was leaving as usual. And, but she did act different in this dream. She said that she more or less said, fine, if you're leaving, but you're not taking that stuff with you. And he had this stuff that he was taking that was hers. And she's like, wow, that was different. And I asked her, what was he taking? And she kind of thought of it, and she's like, oh, she seemed a little embarrassed. She said, well, it was actually my mirror.
Oh.
I said, well, that's an interesting symbol, isn't it? I asked her to consider, what is a mirror? Why do we use a mirror? She said, well, I mean, it's how I see myself. And I said, well, isn't that an interesting story that in your dream, as we worked with it together, it was clear that she was through the dream reflecting how he was taking something with him, which was how she saw herself. And we talked about how much that is the one piece of the process she still is bothered by, her own personal reflection and what does this mean about her. And even though she thought she was over it, that's probably the place that she still has work to do. So I always say the dream director chose every prop for a reason. And in this case, though, one thing she hadn't really reflected on, which I really wanted her to see, was, wow, look at how in the dream you were saying, oh, no, you don't. I'm taking this back. What an empowering moment that she was moving toward in the dream, that she just saw it as the same dream again. There he is again, without seeing how, the inner work is showing up. So I will say this, we can use an affirmation if we see a belief pattern is continuing to show up. We might take some sort of action on the dream, like knowing, if I could go back in the dream, one of the best ways to work with a recurring pattern is to ask ourselves, if I were back in the dream and I could do something different. From the dream perspective, from the dream story, what might I do different? And in that is so often a troubleshooting of, well, now if I bring that back into the waking scenario, the dream seems to reflect, where is there an idea there of something I could do a little different or try that I haven't? Because if we shift one thing, we start to shift our whole approach. And coming back to what we were saying about just how I bring myself to the dream. So if I could just figure out how would I bring myself to the dream different, we might then see, okay, if this is, I think, reflecting this area of my life, how does that apply? Where can I take that idea?
I love that you use that word reflection in conjunction with this dream about a mirror. Like, right? I mean, it's something we often say, like colloquially, and it is powerful. Like I'm thinking of, just popped into my head about the action of a dream that if this were my person, I might ask, what would it be like to, every time you see a mirror, because, we're brushing our teeth, putting on makeup, whatever. Every time you see a mirror, realize I still have my mirror.
Love it.
Right?
Love that. Yeah. You could buy a little hand mirror. Yeah. You could put some, anything we do, I feel that helps us honor the dream. Even if I didn't figure out why I had a dream, if there was an element of the dream that sparks my interest, I might go find something that is like that and bring it into my life, because I have a part of me that understands.
Right. Well, like these mysterious animals, sometimes I'll get like a fox or something like a coyote, and I don't know what it means, but there's something about that animal that's important, and I might do something to honor that animal, and just to have its presence near me can be very enlivening.
Yes.
So this is a fantastic conversation. We have much more to come, and I need to take a short break here. My guest is Leah Ann Bolen, and you can get to her at leahannbolen.com, 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 and we're talking about recurring themes, dreams as a feedback system. So glad to have you on the show, Leah, and we will be right back to you. So we are broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU and podcast everywhere. Look for the Dream Journal. So we will be right back. You are listening to the Dream Journal, and I am Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork. Here, I'd like to send out a welcome to our far-flung listeners. We have a load of people listening today, which is fantastic, all over the Bay Area: Watsonville, San Jose, Fremont, Union City, Dublin, California, North Highlands, Fresno, Los Angeles, Scottsdale, Arizona, Marana, Arizona, Seattle, Washington, New Orleans. Welcome, Nola. Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Hawaii, and Quebec, Canada, and Rhode Island. So thank you so much for being a Dream Journal listener. People all over the world really are interested in dreams. Everybody does dream. And this is my attempt to get out the word about dreaming and about how to share dreams, why to share dreams. And so I encourage you to talk to your friends about this podcast, to talk to your friends about your dreams. And if you'd like to help out the show to spread this interest, you can follow the Dream Journal on your favorite podcast app. Leave us a rating or a review. I have postings on Facebook and Instagram to find out about upcoming shows and pod drops by following hashtag the Dream Journal and at Experiential Dreamwork. Also on LinkedIn, I will be announcing pod drops there. Also, please contact me if you'd like to be a guest on the show to talk about a new book or to let folks know about your dream-related offerings. A reminder that you can now buy tickets for our local in-person dream conference at the beautiful Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History. The Festival of Dreams will be held October 10th through 12th. Also, if you are in the Boston area, September 26th and 27th, please consider another IASD regional event near Boston in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. I'll be leading a workshop there about my treasure hunt approach to dreaming. Plus, I will be, yikes, singing some of my original dream songs. So that's kind of vulnerable and edgy and exciting all at the same time. So that'll be in September 26th and 7th in the Boston area. Both of these are IASD regional events, and you can find out about them at asdreams.org/regionals, or go to Eventbrite and search for IASD, the International Association for the Study of Dreams. Next week, we have a special treat with local poet and friend of the Angels, Jenny D'Angelo. I'm really excited about our guest next week. Today's guest is Leah Ann Bolen, and we actually have two people on the phone. Okay, so we will start with line one with Elizabeth from Bellingham. Good to hear from you, Elizabeth.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic.
Absolutely.
I know.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Okay, so Leah, how are you? You're still there, Leah?
I sure am.
Fantastic.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello, Leah. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Good. So what would you like to share, Elizabeth?
Oh, well, so I've been through this really turbulent period in my life where I lost a lot of things, relationships through death, and the need to withdraw from a painful, significant other relationship. And during that time, though, I will say that I was dreaming, I was remembering so many of my dreams, Catherine. You know that.
What a blessing. Sometimes I'm going through a transition and I find it's just like blank. And but what a blessing to have so many gifts. I mean, I guess there's different ways of responding to these transitions.
Yeah, I guess so. Because now it's very rare if I even get a snippet. And so I was thinking this is an important question about sleep. And I wondered, I guess, how to work with what I do get, but also is it relevant to work with the things that I, so many dreams that I had prior to this sort of vacant.
That's an interesting question. What do you think about that, Leah? Should stay with the current even if there's snippets, or is it okay to go through older dreams? What do you recommend?
Well, usually I will encourage people to, first of all, understand, generally speaking, our dreams tend to be reflecting the current moment. So, in some ways, I see dreams like a digestive system, just like I'm eating food today and it's going to break down pretty quickly. What do I do with this? Where does this go? What just gets flushed away, right? We have all these experiences happening in our life, and pretty quickly, our dream mind is going to digest those most emotional and important items that we're probably going through in the moment. So, with that said, similar to a digestive system with food, it seems our experiential dream experiences tends to be something quite current that was going on the last day, 2 or 3, seems to be the majority of the timing of memory going in and getting all of its work done. So with that said, if I want to still work with past dreams, I just want to also be aware what was going on at that time in my life. I can absolutely still learn lessons from that time in my life. I might even have a better objective ability to look at what was I going through at that time, and what and how were my dreams supporting that, and what can I still learn from that. And maybe some of those lessons, oh good, I just naturally through the dream natural work moved through some of that. We just want to be aware it's about more how I was feeling in that moment. And I would also say the small snippets can provide great information as well. I had a woman who just shared one with me that she wasn't sure she could do much with it because it was just this little snippet of a dream, but in working with just the snippet, she got a pretty good understanding of something that her inner self must have been trying to help her come to. So I would say, let's not just dismiss it. Maybe there's a reason I remembered that part of it.
All right. Sometimes I call those nuggets to give them
Nuggets, yeah.
'Cause there can be a lot of potency. I even have a little bit of a pet theory about that sometimes when so much is being processed at a deep level that our conscious mind can't really relate to it, but it's this huge changes going on, but we just get like a little glimpse, a little glimmer of something of what's going on. And that's why those nuggets can be so powerful sometimes, because they're just getting a glimpse into some kind of subconscious process that we're just learning how to address.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we're so determined, I have to pigeonhole, what does this mean? I've got to, check the box, when in reality it might be enough that we are opening to consideration, and in that process of just being open to exploring, what was that nugget? How did it make me feel? How would I describe it? Maybe we did enough dream work just in honoring the little bit of a memory that our dreams can continue from there. And we've opened ourselves up just a little.
Yeah, great
I can tell
question.
you my nugget from last night.
Sure.
Really short.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, I have a friend, a woman I know. Her name is Sage, and she gave me the one thing for my recent milestone birthday that I really need, and that is money. And it wasn't a lot of money, but I have a special gratitude for that because that's my edge right now. So anyway, that's just who she is. But in the dream, she had a yellow king, and the whole grab-on piece for me was that I had one too.
A yellow king, like a person dressed in yellow? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It was just really vague.
I have one too, though.
I have one. And, that's just...
Yeah, that's
for
it.
me,
That's
that
good.
doesn't have a lot of meaning. But it's yellow, and it's a king. And it's, in a way, a gift. So maybe the feeling about it is something I could explore.
Yeah, I mean, when we start to explore a symbol, some of the great things we can ask ourselves is, first and foremost, always with dreams, if I can help someone connect with while in the dream, while I was realizing, oh, I have one too, what was I feeling? What was I thinking? Because very often we can bridge into the reason for the dream or the connection of my waking life to this dream by connecting with emotionality and thinking. And we often don't go there first. So I always go there first. What was I feeling? What was I thinking while in the dream? And then with a symbol like that, which is so wonderfully symbolic, right? I mean, your yellow king can only be understood through your lens as the dreamer. So there's no dream knower who knows, oh yeah, you had a dream about a yellow king, well that means this. It's more when I think of a king, what ideas come to my mind about what is a king, why are there kings, what does a king represent? And even the color yellow is symbolic. You have some part of you that has ideas about yellow. And so even just by honoring that symbol, by connecting with it, asking yourself some basic questions, and letting that kind of reside now. Like, okay, I've opened that up a little bit. You've done wonderful dream work, and you may even open up to an idea your dream mind is trying to help you see.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, I'm going to let you take most of this offline. I think that's wonderfully summarized. I want to just say in my reflection that I have focus on the idea that I have one too. Like I have a king. I have something wonderful, and just to reflect on that, and as you say, the feelings in the dream. And of course, Elizabeth, I know you. I'd be happy to explore this dream a little more with you directly. We have 2 more callers to get to, and I'd really like to thank you for calling in, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Thank you. This is a beautiful program.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
Wonderful.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care, Elizabeth. Bye. So we have 2 questions. We have Andrea, who's from Hawaii, and then I also want to be sure to get to our in-studio question as well. So let's switch to Andrea from Hawaii, and then we'll get to Max in a minute. So, Andrea, hello.
Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for calling in. What
Thanks
can we
so
do
much.
for you?
I have a question for Leah. I have been finding that throughout my life, as I've moved many times, each time that I move to a new location, I suddenly have this entirely new, tuned-in feeling where I have deja vu daily, and each dream, I always remember where I am as if it were a dream that I had, and it's like every finite detail is, remembered, and so I wondered her opinion on that.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you so much for calling in. And I am just wanting a clarification here. You say that when you're in the process of a new move, that you end up having a dream experience, and then it's like deja vu in waking life. I'm not sure I fully grasped.
So it seems as though on a daily basis, each day I have dreamt of things that happen throughout that day, but it's literally every single day I feel that. So it's almost as if I've had all of these dreams in preparation of the new place over months, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
Yeah. So isn't that amazing? You had a guest on just recently, Catherine.
Yeah.
And there was clarity between deja vu and deja
rev, like already
Deja
dreamt
rev. Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've never heard that term.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
Yeah, I hadn't either. And I thought that was fascinating because I've come to believe personally that so much of what we call deja vu is because we dreamt it. Because I've had so many synchronicities that I saw showing up when I started to really pay attention to my dreams, between my dreams and my waking life, that sometimes seem just like these little practical, why would I have already dreamt that? But gee, I did. I do think that our dreams are capable of collapsing time and space as we know it. Science is showing time is not this linear thing we experience it as in our wake realm, and that all time is sort of overlapped on top of each other. Who's to say we couldn't potentially collapse into what's coming, what's on the horizon, what we're about to move into, and be preparing? And I'm sure some of us certainly are more open to having these sort of extrasensory percepting experiences perhaps than others. And some of us certainly remember more of our dreams than others. I'm curious, Andrea, for yourself, what have you thought about these dreams?
I do always have a sense as it's happening that I'm on the right path. That's the
Yeah.
main thing.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is
I
really
love
cool.
that.
And
I've so
had this
often
my
thought
whole
that,
life.
yeah.
My whole
Yeah.
life. I mean, I remember being really tiny and feeling that same way.
On the right path. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
When I started to have little synchronicities show up for me, I was in my 20s, and I was starting to journal my dreams, and it was bothersome at first to me because I'm an ambitious kind of gal, and I'm thinking, what is the point if these simple things were already preordained? And then I did tend to come right to what you just said, Andrea, that, you know what, perhaps it's just a little like, hello, you're right where you were meant to be in this
Yeah, a little
moment.
tap. Yeah.
Oh.
It's so beautiful. And I would say we want to, with our dreams, always know that it's my dream experience and it's my soul experience. And it's always for me to decide in the end how I want to use this dream and what I want to think of this dream as for my life. And hopefully you were getting some wonderful practice ground to ensure that when you landed where you were already set.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Andrea, thank you so much for calling in. This is really fascinating.
Thank you,
you for
Andrea.
having me. Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more question. And we do have, I'm just being handed, we have another caller on the line. We'll see if we can get to that. But let's go take Max's question from in studio.
Hello. I just noticed a strange synergy that I remember between my dreams and my sleep patterns.
Yeah.
In probably the noisiest, most hard to sleep place I ever lived was this one neighborhood that I used to have a home in, and I was between a busy street, 2 highways, 2 railroad tracks. It was just incredibly active and everything, and it was a major commuter line. At about 4 or 4:30 in the morning, every morning, I'd start to get woken up by noise, either the commuter trains or whatever. And if I was dreaming, I found that I could go back to sleep by just staying in the dream and concentrating on that, not opening my eyes or anything like that, not moving around, not trying to talk to anybody. And I was just wondering if this kind of synergy between the dreams and sleep is something that's common, because I got to say I got the best sleep of my life in those few hours after 4:30 when I woke up. If I made it to 6:30, I'd be so rested. And I'd remember so many dreams, too. I had very good recall at that point because I'm using the dream to go in and out of sleep. So how...
Yeah, so what you're speaking of is a common way someone might try to help themselves move into being able to do more lucid dreaming. So lucid dreaming is certainly those experiences where I know I'm in a dream while I'm still in the dream. And a lot of people trying to lucid dream have found that if I can have something to spur an awakening for a brief moment in time after I've already had about 4 hours of sleep, well, that happens to be the timing where we're probably going to be moving into the most dreamy part of a full night of sleep. So the first half of a night of sleep, we're front loading more of the deep sleep, which is not the same as dream sleep. Some people think I must be in deep sleep because I'm dreaming, but they're two very different things. Deep sleep is a very slow brainwave pattern, restorative state where we're really hard to rouse and we're pretty much not having they've found we can dream in deep, but it's rarer than in REM sleep. That's more in the front half of the night. And if I have something that kind of wakes me up after I've exhausted much of that, and I'm more moving into the second half of the night, well, now I'm about to move into my most dreamy state. And what you were doing in those moments would be commonly referred to as a sort of a wake back to bed technique, where I'm coming up, but I'm not going to like really stop with the sleep thing. And I'm going to really intentionally move back into the dream state. And because my dream state is what's about to happen when I fall back to sleep, it's very simple to get myself right back into dreams, because that's what's coming now anyway. And so I don't know if you were finding yourself aware of being in those dreams as well, or sometimes that you were, but it's really that reality that when we wake after a few hours of sleep, when we go back to sleep, we're about to move to dreaminess, so we can really intentionalize into that very easily.
Yeah. I have to say, I've always dreamed lucidly, I think.
Yeah.
And so this was pretty easy for me to use that to get back into sleep. I sort of envisioned a doorway
Yeah.
to step back through.
Nice.
Beautiful. So you could still do that today, perhaps, if you create some very gentle nudging up for a moment. Maybe, I'm not, when I'm dealing with people who have sleep issues, I am not encouraging people to wake themselves up.
Yes.
But for people who want to have that wonderful dream awareness and dream experience, it can be a technique.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say, don't be someone who has insomnia and move into that technique.
Right. Thank you, Max.
Okay, thanks
Thank you,
a lot.
Max.
Yeah. So this has been wonderful, Leah. This is Leah Ann Bolen, and you can find her at her webpage, leahannbolen.com. Is that the best place for folks to get in touch with you, Leah?
That's the best place.
Okay. Do you have anything coming up for you that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I would say absolutely. If you're ever in Arizona, I hope that you'll find your way to Miraval Resort and Spa. It's such an amazing place to reprieve, to get in touch with yourself in so many ways. And I do all kinds of workshops, lectures, and private sessions there at Miraval. And also, I am in the midst of writing my first book. So that is a wonderful journey that I'm on, and I look forward in the near future to being able to start to help people know when they can expect to be able to get that.
Great.
And thank you for having me, Catherine.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Leah. Do you have any final encouragements for the listeners?
I would say let's acknowledge that dreams are part of the experience of life. And so many of us are so caught up in wake realm reality that we have dismissed that we have this whole other aspect of our life. And when it does show up, let's grab hold of it. Let's honor it. Let's embrace the experience and do something to honor it in our waking lives.
Wonderful. Leah, it has been a delight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Wishing everyone the sweetest of dreams.
Absolutely. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, and we are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. It spreads interest in dreaming when you subscribe, rate, and review. I am Catherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at catherine@ksqd.org, katherine@ksqd.org. Follow Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag The Dream Journal on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to keep up with the show. I'd like to thank Rick Cleffel, engineer and music creator. Audio editing by Suki Westling. Phones by the hardworking Tony Risamano. And intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, please take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.
that you might be the target. Know you're an upscale market. You know they've been tracking you from day one. Beware of the face that's familiar. It might be the face of your killer. Most people are shot by someone they know. There's a dot on you. There's a dot on you. You know that it's true. Care if you're through. There's a dot on